spoke to Bill Washington just the last about half an hour ago, and he can't make it today.
Okay.
Okay, we'll go around and do the introductions. My name's John Boutte. I'm one of the co-chairs here. John Lightfoot, who is the other co-chair, is teaching tonight and can't be here, so I'll try to do right by him. And Eleanor, you wanna?
Eleanor Coleman. I'm the scribe, and I represent Youthville. We're located at 121 Lincoln.
You have to speak a little louder because there's a lot of...
Yeah, a lot of white
Eleanor
noise
Coleman.
here.
I'm at 121 Lincoln.
That's more like it.
Youthville, Catholic Family Center.
Yes. Okay, and
Lori
Yeah.
Frankunas. I'm the branch manager here at Phyllis Wheatley Library.
Hi, I'm Kiara Johnson. I'm a former youth organizer from Teen Empowerment.
thank you, Kiara.
And hi, I'm Jennifer Bannister, my colleague of Kiara's.
Johnny Vincenzo, I'm a sergeant with the Rochester Police Department Central Section. I've been in this neighborhood in the past as a CPO, and I'm glad to be back as a sergeant.
Okay.
Donna Sarnacki, 19th Ward Community Association.
Mary D'Alessandro, Upper South Plymouth Neighborhood Association.
Viola Carey, Montgomery Swan.
Very good, Viola. I talked to Jamon today, and he said you were coming from school.
Yeah, I told him not to call anymore because I have it on my calendar. I'm
Fantastic.
representing them, so there's enough ways to
Very
call
good,
it.
very
Yeah.
good. Okay, what do we got first here? John McMahon has been helping us out for the past few meetings to pull together a plan of what are we going to do in the coming year or two for the Southwest Common Council, just trying to give ourselves a little bit of a definition of what we'd like to tackle. And what has been compiled to date has been put into a survey that can be reached by this SurveyMonkey link that you have written down there. I'm sorry you can't just click on it with your finger and get to it, but at least it's fairly easy to read, and you can go in there and take the survey and give your contribution to what you see as things that the Southwest Common Council should be working on. And so you are very much encouraged to take part in that. And we'll try to either next meeting or probably next meeting or the meeting after that, once we've got good response on the survey, go over it and try to put some final focus on what we want to commit to. Bylaws update, which Eleanor probably knows I've been going crazy with for a while. We have it always seems like we refer to bylaws when there's an issue that comes up. We need to vote on something, or we have elections, and it's hard to get ourselves enthused to fine-tune the bylaws when everything is going along smoothly. And but we've been trying to keep at it. We had back in August of 2016, we'd had a very productive meeting over at my place. Several of the people who were part of the bylaws committee came over, and Bonnie Mayer had done an excellent job of taking the bylaws we had and reworking them kind of into the format that Cornhill had used, and we were very happy with what we saw, and then we planned on reviewing this at the general meeting probably in September. And by the time September came up, we weren't going to have time to get to them then. And one thing after another led to, we finally voted on things in the following January. And I think by that time we had an old version of the bylaws because it didn't incorporate everything that we would have liked to have had. So the main thing we want to make sure we do this time is to plan on what we're going to vote on next month for the bylaws, and the main thing we need to do is capture the fact that we will count a neighborhood association or block club or whatever the group is that has a voting membership here. We'll consider them in good standing if they have at least presence of one or another of their members at various meetings. Over the course of this month, if you can take a look at that and see what what wording would be good. And there's also the question of if we've got each community association can have 2 votes, was the way it was written up or conceived way back when we had Willie Lightfoot Sr. as one of the organizers of this organization. They were primarily looking at that time at having just the neighborhood associations in the Southwest be part, and it was Sector 4 back then was the organization we had, and I assume they had some bylaws at one point, written bylaws, but in 2011 or 12, when we started looking for them, we couldn't find them anywhere. And we went back to the Sector 4 bylaws that the city had distributed to each of the sectors at the time, saying these are some suggested bylaws, and we worked on those. And we revisited them last year and got the one that is, I'm not sure if it's still going around or not, but when we get some copies here, we have basically that each of the neighborhoods can have 2 votes. I guess the thing that I haven't seen a good written statement about neighborhood will be considered in good standing if they have a member at each of the meetings, but does that mean that as long as you're here representing the 19th Ward each time that you give 2 votes, or do you need to have 2 people if it comes down to a vote? I don't know. We'll need to get that captured and clear so that we are happy with what we've got. The other thing that had I think is perhaps a little different from what we had back when Willie Lightfoot and the groups set that up back in 1980, or when did the council
So she doesn't know. Before you were born. You know.
No, she was one of the founding members, I think. You were part of that first team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Man, you're the minute lady.
And she's the minute lady. We wouldn't know anything about our past if it weren't for Eleanor. The thing we added in the course of the last few years was to try to get block clubs got added as an entity, and also some of the people who are very active in the organization. John Curran, for instance, thank you. You know, we'd like to have some of the people who are very active have a voice in it also, so we had said we could have up to 4.
So do we have to do anything about the bylaws tonight?
No, we just have to review them.
Yeah, the members in good standing, 4D on the second page here. The minimum of 6 meetings in a 12-month period, and we added recently in a year or so ago in 2018, 3 of the meetings could be at subcommittee meetings, because a lot of people are very active in one subcommittee or another. Maybe they don't want to show up at these meetings every month, but if they have at least 3 meetings at the main common council meetings, they could count 3 meetings, such as at the education committee or whatever. But that still doesn't address the fact that we need some statement in there that clarifies that neighborhood associations will be in good standing if they have some member here at least 6 meetings out of the year, and we'll need to clarify whether, as long as there are, if they've got 2 members here at the day that there's some vote, well, there's no question, but if it's just 1 member is here, does that member get 2 votes? We need to get something in there to that effect. So we hadn't gotten this out until Monday. I emailed it out with the notice, so we need to give people a chance to digest this, and we'll revisit this at the next meeting.
Is there anything going on with the events committee?
No, we haven't started Beat the Brooks yet. The art, that will start up again in the summer. The only event that I really can talk about is Oasis is having a breakfast, and if you would like to come, it might be beneficial, seeing that you're with teen empowerment, because Oasis, do you know about Oasis? Oh, would you like to give me your email addresses, and I'll send you an invite?
I think I just got one. Did you? Somebody sent
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Other than that, that's it.
Okay, well, the tiny houses, I thought, I've seen a few things come from John in the last few
They've set up a
days.
tiny home committee that meets separately weekly, and the tiny homes are homes for the homeless, and they're looking at a village concept. And across from school number 8, there's some land over there that they're talking with one of the homes there is a minister's church. So they're talking with them about potentially having it over there. He was also talking the other day about across from Ames, that Taylor Instrument site that's been there forever, but they made thermometers, so it's
a lot of mercury contamination.
yeah. But wondering if could we put something above it, like cement or something above it, and do something like seedlings for the city, like grow seedlings, or do something there that would be, you wouldn't have to worry so much about the mercury or the contamination. So.
Yeah, the tiny homes they're talking about will be about the size of these tables here, very, very compact, and something that would be reasonable in terms of price. It might have a loft or something like that. So I was hoping we'd hear what the latest is, but we'll have to wait till next week, next month, I should say. Do we have anything new as far as the restaurant? Have you heard anything?
No, you know, just from my experience with Deli Sandro's and Tin Roof, it takes a long time to put everything in order. The permit.
Restaurant would be. Okay, so you know the high rises next to Stanford student housing?
Right.
There's an amphitheater. That's where we do beats at Brooks. And the now owner of Staybridge, I think they're moving out of being an actual Staybridge. But Brian Potter has offered to, or is going to be taking over what was supposed to be a restaurant all along. And then we started thinking, what else could we put there, because the restaurant was never forthcoming. And so he's talking about putting a restaurant and an event hall there so that people have a place, sort of like a little bistro and a restaurant and an event hall in that space. So that's what he's working on, and it really does, it's taking up a lot of his.
Who was that?
Pardon?
Who was the first?
Brian Potter. He's the manager of Staybridge.
So we had, for a number of years, the 19th Ward and other groups have been saying, well, we were going to get a restaurant there, and we want a restaurant. But of course, somebody's got to come up with the plan and the money for it. So we started talking about doing something else there, and that got them off of dead center at Staybridge to look at doing something. And hopefully it will come to fruition sometime.
Can you say more about the beats at Brooks? What is that?
Yes, that's actually Mary's, the Rotary is looking at, we helped with it last year, Rotary Southwest, it meets at the NSC, but we have like really lousy marketing, so nobody knows that we do.
We have lousy what?
Marketing.
Oh.
So like we don't,
It was our first year.
it was our first year, but with John DeMott, we set up every other Thursday, starting in June, I think it was, different bands and local entertainers, and so another reason we'd like to see about teen empowerment, performing out there from 5:30 to 7. We'd be selling hot dogs and kind of a way for the community to get together, and it was it was very successful. People would come out and bring chairs as well as sit on the amphitheater thing, and then just kind of all be together. And
It's right next to the river. So
Right next to
Yeah. It's that circle that's kind of in that paved over area where the Plymouth takes a turn there.
how youth friendly.
Yeah, there's been a lot of, I thought there were, what were some of the youth, I thought we also had, because we went to high schools as well, but it would be really nice to have someone that was tapped into the youth that could, and Mary would be the contact person that would help guide us, because we would definitely like to have youth performers. And they did have some of the groups that came had youth with them that were performing. What was the one? Accordions or something?
We had the one that the Dulcimer
The Dulcimer
group there,
Oh, Mitzi Collins.
Mitzi Collins, and they had some folks
Irish
dancing, Irish dancers.
Had gospel choirs. So yeah, if you have suggestions, that would be great. Plug them into the schedule.
What I was also asking is like, what is youth friendly for people, for young people wanting to come from the neighborhood?
Oh yeah.
Is that like teenagers? Yeah. I don't know, Irish and dance and stuff.
Yeah, that doesn't sound quite like.
The gospel brings them in.
Okay.
But yeah, we'd have to, that's why we need you here.
Yeah, you know, it would be really great if you guys got something that you can pull together and have a good turnout of young people that ideally you'd like to have young people doing something that's real fun and that the old farts like us can go there and not feel intimidated. You know, that's something that is unfortunately a reality, I think, in Rochester, is that, and it's always the case that young people have a different demeanor than their parents did or their grandparents. You know, they sing different songs, they dance different dances, and in Rochester, that's kind of doubly we compound the issue with the fact that we have this racial segregation in here, and a lot of there's a white and minority separation, which is all the more problematic, and anything we can do to really have a really good time to get young people out and doing something and draw a broad cross section of the neighborhood to those events, I think would be very productive, you know, so that people say, oh, there's a step dancing or something there, and whether the person is black or white or whatever, that they feel interested in going and taking part in something like that. That would be very constructive, I think, for the community as a whole. So yeah, we're youth friendly, and the trouble is that it isn't always easy for me to say I'm going to get a bunch of youth down there unless I work through some other organization. So please step forward and consider it. You've got a stage there that you can organize things, and it doesn't have to be necessarily on a Saturday or a Friday. It's there all the time, and as long as we make sure that everybody knows something's going to be happening, then great.
Eleanor, could you send me their contact information if you have it? And you can send them mine, if you don't mind.
And this is primarily summertime.
Every other week, June
It's
through
in June.
Yeah, we were doing it every other
July and
week.
August.
Primarily because there's a limited bandwidth for the people who are organizing it, but if we've got, you know, if we've got two teams working here, as long as they know, oh, we're doing it this week, you're doing it the next, nothing that says we couldn't do it every week. Is there anything that...
Yeah, we'll stick with every
So, Kiara, are you Kiara at
Is it Kiara? Yeah.
Okay, what's next?
Alrighty. Art project.
She wants to talk.
Yes.
This is Viola Curry.
Yeah. Across the street at Montgomery Center, for those who don't know, I work there. And every Tuesday and Thursday night, there's a band that comes and practice there. They're over there now. They're called All in One Band, and they're very, very good. They play jazz and gospel and rhythm and blues, I guess. I don't know. I just know jazz. But anyhow, it would be nice, because they are from the community, if when we are having
Yes.
June or July, we could talk to them and maybe they
Yes.
could come and
We
play.
could do that now.
I've got her card. I've got their card.
I gave her a card. Yeah. And I think that would really be super. They are
It
good.
would be great.
Yes.
Okay. And it would get their name out.
Yeah.
Is there a budget to pay them or
No.
no?
We don't have
City
any
is
money.
looking into it. John Demps was saying that they're looking,
You get some
there's a
money.
possibility that there's Yeah, right now.
Huh? We're putting all those teachers, they should
I will call them. Yes. Okay.
Okay, the other thing under the committees that is one that I'm most involved with is the Education Committee, and I would just ask you and you folks at Teen Empowerment, you've got a lot of teens that you've worked with. Get them to go to this petition and sign this up, because this is the busing issue is something we'd really like to move along this year and finally have things such that the state passes a revision to its reimbursement law so that kids could get bused to their neighborhood school that's 3 blocks down the street, rather than saying, gee, if I want the safety for my child of not having them walk across Jefferson or across Thurston or whatever, or walk past some corner where there's a lot of drug activity, I need to put them on a bus in front of my house and send them halfway across the city to a school there, which is no better than the school down here, but at least I can get busing. And that's what we've got in Rochester right now, and it screws up our neighborhood schools because kids don't go to their neighborhood schools on the whole. You know, if you get 20%, that's about it. And over at School 17, they were able to get the district to provide local busing, because they were, you know, it's been kind of an experimental situation at that school, and they went from around 22% neighborhood kids attending the school to 77%. And that, of course, gets a lot more parents involved in the school, because if the parents are putting their child on a bus that goes across town and they don't have a car sitting in the driveway the evening that there's an event at the school, they're not going to get there by public transportation in Rochester. So this really should help get more parents involved if we can get the local busing. And so please do what you can to get people to sign up. Anything that the police officers send, be sure to let them know that this is a petition that is in their interest to sign, because if you've got a more cohesive neighborhood to patrol in, it makes your job easier, rather than knowing that the kids you run across in a neighborhood could be from anywhere because they got bused there for school. So, and other than that, the one thing I can say is the Southwest Common Council Education Committee and the 19th Ward Schools Committee, we've been up to our ears trying to get involved in all the community engagement teams. We have 4 schools in the Southwest that are in receivership, and we've been trying to, you know, work with them so that they have people. They by law they need to have a community engagement team when they're in receivership, and we've been participating in 4 of them, and of course trying not to have conflicts and trying to be in 2 places at once has been a challenge for us. But the thing I can say is we have some wonderful principals out there. 2 of the principals that we're working with over at 10 and over at 19, they were going to school when my daughter was in school, you know, at Wilson. And they are just so energetic and working so hard with the kids that it gives you a sense of hope that, you know, things are going to get better, because they have their minds in the right place. They're really pushing to help the kids, and it's been kind of invigorating seeing that, because sometimes it's easy to get downtrodden that, you know, everything you hear in the paper is generally negative. But we have some good people out there, and we're hopefully things will turn around soon. So,
Community education team, CETs.
community engagement team. So, and there is a on location 19 in the Southwest Education Forum group, we have an index of all the meetings we've gone to in the community with the community engagement teams. I've been videoing those so that if anybody's curious as to what's going on there, they're there for anybody to see. Okay, that gets us through the committees.
Teen Lab.
Pardon?
Teen Lab, didn't Alicia give you a report? Or was that just live?
She gave me she sent a flyer. Do you have that by any chance? 'Cause I copied you on what she had sent, and that was one of the things I meant to print out, but I didn't, because my printer was giving me some problems. Yeah, there's she sent out a notice for some opportunities for
The census.
the census, yes.
For hiring 20,000. You guys have voted on that. It'll be in the next county council announcements that go out. The census is hiring is it 1,000 workers?
Yeah, there's quite a few.
Next year is when the census is.
Right, but they're starting to collect people now. There's applications. So, and they're like $17 an hour jobs.
For the round table, we've heard one thing that you had there. Anything else at Montgomery Neighborhood Center that you'd like to share with us?
No, I need new floors.
New floor.
You asked.
You got ceilings.
Huh?
You got your ceilings.
Got my ceiling, got the lighting, and got a roof. That's really good.
Oh my God, that is good.
Yes, it is good. It is good.
The roof, so now
Yeah.
we're going to
So now we have that driveway in the back here, and it has potholes, and I think I know how to fix it, but I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying right now. When it comes to the potholes, it seems like all I needed was some gravel, and put in there and put some cement on the top, and it didn't seem like a hard thing to do. But I don't know what to do, so I decided. And see, does this make sense? Of the 7th of June, to have a nice fish fry. And the money that I make from the fish fry, I buy more fish. I have another fish fry till we get enough money. That's the way you do things, right? Till we get enough money to do with that. And that's one of the things that I really, really want, because the potholes are not getting smaller, they are getting bigger, yeah.
How big are they now?
Maybe the bottom of this chair are bigger. Yeah, so we really, really need that, yeah.
Catch them while they're small.
Yeah, but they've gotten much bigger.
What's
So,
Montgomery Center?
to Montgomery Center.
next door.
Aren't they
City of
city?
Rochester has 4 pothole trucks.
Huh?
City of Rochester has 4 pothole repair trucks. 4 less than you.
Oh, okay.
See if those.
You want to give the name for us to call?
311.
Oh, 311.
Or there's different levels of management that I'm sure that could be
Right to the top.
without throwing it into the pothole truck. There
Would they
are ways to do
permit?
that. I mean, if you're going to raise money for your floors, and let the city come down and spend 20 minutes fixing those potholes with your truck.
But, okay, Okay, the reason, I guess, at one time someone said that since it was not on the street, that the city wouldn't do it.
But you're cute. And all you gotta do is call Norman Jones, go down and he has to talk to Norman Jones and just say to him, Norman, when can you send me a pothole truck? Don't ask him if he'll do it. Ask him when he's gonna do it.
All right.
Okay.
I would call them anyway.
Norman Jones.
I think so, yeah, I
How would you know?
think you.
And take him
Charm.
cookies.
You could put it in the charm.
If you asked me, you send my paddle truck on, I would.
See what I tell you.
What can I say?
And if he says no, cry. He'll send it
I
that
can do
day.
that easily. Okay.
Oh, I shouldn't tell that.
And I keep having your fish fries. There was a big article in the paper where one town did it and once a year they do it and they have hundreds of people in line. Bill or something like that. It was in the paper this past week or the week before. And they do that once a year and they get, hundreds of people in line for their fish fries. So go for it.
I'm going for it.
And tell us when they are and we'll come.
Well,
I'll
I'll let you know. Yeah.
Okay, Norman Jones. Did you write
Got
that
it?
down?
Yeah, Norman Jones. And call
Okay.
311.
Well, it's not, I said that before I realized we were talking about the Adams Rec Center. So I would call maybe,
But isn't the park part of the city? The grass part? Can't you say that parking lot's part of that?
The city has the lot where the basketball
Right.
thing is.
Yeah.
But this is up behind
And
Montgomery
tell them
Center.
that people have to park there to use that lot.
That's why we've got the
Yeah.
And that, yes, because of all those people that are using your lot, it needs to be fixed.
I want them to do nothing more than fix the potholes that they drive me crazy. Between driving my police car around to work and then driving into work. But I don't think anybody would object to them patching a few potholes when they're It's not like it's your own house, right? So it's,
Just the pothole.
It's a senior citizen center.
I know.
We're crying out loud.
What is the address?
10 Katy Street. But but we park at the parking lot. Whenever you finish here, we'll show you, okay? Because I went to the list at the bay. So how
Oh,
far?
I can't do that tonight.
Why?
Because
We've been meeting since 8 o'clock this morning.
Yeah.
First meeting at 8 o'clock this morning.
8:00 this morning.
Yeah. I don't know with these old people, they can't steal that.
It's true. But I'm up at 5.
Yeah. Okay.
They say old people leave.
Okay, Mary, you got
Have
it?
fun, okay?
Hey, that's good.
Okay. I have nothing to report.
No?
No.
Okay.
Hi, I do. I'm just going to throw out a couple events. On April 13th to celebrate City Living. Is it Shelfless?
Right.
We're going to do that? Anyway, also on April 14th is Palm Sunday breakfast at Rochester Presbyterian Home. And they provide all the food.
That was, the city living was downtown and Silver's living, right?
I think so. And anyway, this is cheap, $7 for an individual, and it's great. And they have a great speaker, so they say. But anyway, it's at the Rochester Presbyterian Home on Thurston. Okay. Also, what else?
time?
It is from 8 to 9:30. 8 a.m. to 9:30, and then you can go to church. The next thing is that there's going to be Ease on Down. It's Thurston and Arnett, I think. And that's May 18th through 25th. They're going to have it for a whole week. And that is where all of the businesses will be open. You can meet the people, and there might be some food and stuff like that. So it's going to be on for a whole week. And then on October 19th is the house tour, the 19th Ward House Tour, and that's always really good. We do that every 2 years. So October 19th, I know it's a little bit down the road. And at the Arnett Library, fourth Monday of each month from 8 a.m. to 12, they are giving free mammograms. You don't have to. Huh? At the Arnett Library, they're gonna probably pull up one of those big bus thingies, you know? And yeah, it's free. You don't have to have any insurance. So 8 to 12, the fourth Monday of every month. Isn't that exciting? Rochester Regional Health, which used as RGH, Rochester General, is doing that. So that is terrific.
I agree.
You want us to take this one? There you go. There, I'm done.
Very good. Thank you very much, Donna. Anything that you have?
I told a few of the folks, the reason I'm here is because my captain got an invite. And I know our NSC lieutenant covers Genesee and Central Section. I'm from Central Section, which is downtown.
Mm-hmm.
Cornhill, actually outside the door here is a boundary. Not that I don't want to come to the meeting, but I just want to make sure I'm not at a meeting where I don't really have any stake, really I have a stake in the whole city, but a say or per se, or where I can, my resources can help you. I'm the aide of the captain, so I report back to him. Is Cornhill in this group, or it is? Okay.
It's supposed to, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Not that I wouldn't, like I said, not that I wouldn't let you come. But I mean, if it'd be like me attending a meeting in another patrol section, I don't want to step on somebody else's toes or whatever. So that's, I'm in Central Section, and obviously we cover Cornhill. And if I can give any assistance, my contact information is on that signage.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. And teen empowerment.
So this is just announcements, is that what?
Yeah, do you have anything you'd like it?
Anything you want us to know?
Well, okay, so for anyone who doesn't know what teen empowerment is, we are a youth organizing project that really is about hiring young people in their own neighborhood. I should let you say this. But anyway, I'm going to pass it to KJ for that. But I am going to do that, and then I want to share something else.
So as Jennifer was just saying, basically what Teen Empowerment is a nonprofit organization that hires youth from the ages of 15 to 20. And they give us the opportunity to have a job where we have a huge impact in our neighborhood, our community, but also it's close to where we live. So we're able to make changes in places that will directly affect us. We do things that are extremely important. We travel to Albany. We do so many things in our own neighborhood, but my most favorite is our events that we have in our neighborhood, right at TE or at other places that are around the neighborhood. And we just have these events that are not just empowering for the youth, but are also an outlet for them to express anything they need to get out, or even just a place to just have some safe fun. And adults are always welcome, but we like the youth. So yeah.
And actually, they have a date already planned from noon to 3. So they also do institutional change work, which is some of the going to Albany is really advocating for CFE with the funding for schools, and it looks like we might win that finally, which has
What do you
been
mean,
years.
the funding for schools?
So there was a court case in the early 2000s or mid 2000s when it was ruled that there was an injustice in the funding formula for suburban schools versus urban and rural schools around New York State. And so New York City, I think, won that case, but then they added in the other big districts. And so essentially it was a court case that awarded a certain amount of billions of dollars, $7 billion or something, to be distributed to a level setting for the schools. And then everybody might remember 2008, the bottom dropped out of the market, and so they just used that to justify not paying. And so that money has still been every year. We fought for it, but now that there's a friendly legislature, that it looks like it might go through, which would help the district, which is in some pretty serious trouble right now. Anyway, so.
And the students are going when?
They've
been going.
Yeah, every year they go. It's usually in January because that's when the budget is in. But then the bigger stuff that they've worked on is really the school climate and the school to prison pipeline work, where we got a new code of conduct passed in 2016, and we actually just studied the effect of lowering suspensions on academics, and we found that the suspensions went down almost at the same rate as course failures going down, which is really what you would expect. If students are not out of the classroom, they're more likely to pass their classes, which is a big contributor to our graduation rate being where it is because students are getting behind in their credits.
And so as a part of that, we don't just do things when we went to Albany that one time, but we also, last year and the years before that, and then also the YOs for this year, go to all of the educational board meetings. So making sure that there is the presence of the youth there, because we go to these schools, not the people sitting up there running the meeting, like we were there. So we try to stay involved in those meetings also, which is where you can get a lot of information out also. So just making sure that we're a part of a ton of things that aren't always the most fun is to sit in, but they are extremely important and we're a part of them and we really love it. I'm a former youth organizer, but I still stay involved as much as I possibly can. So yeah, TE is really just this place that just gives us opportunities to be the people in charge. It's really nice.
Can I ask you a question? Would it be possible to have some of the kids come to Rotary meetings and come to these meetings? They should have a say what goes on in their community, because communities should be preparing their community for people that are from 8 to 80. And when you have silver people, all right, making the decisions, they really don't know what the kids want, but we need to know what the kids want. And if we can get the kids here, it also prepares them to be a part of their community long term.
Well, so with the YOs right now, their schedule is just so crazy.
Oh, the youth
YOs, yeah,
Youth
youth
organizers.
organizers, yeah. So with the youth organizers right now, their schedule is just a little too packed to come to all of these meetings, which is why I am here, because I am a former youth organizer. I was only gone from last year, so this is the
Okay.
first year that I'm not at TE, but I'm still a youth organizer, former, so that's why I'm here to be a part of it. But then I'm also just very connected with them, so I'm just kind of like the youth away from those youth. I'm only 18, so
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
And I would just share that we met with John and Eleanor some time ago, some of the staff, and we shared that that again, like Kiara is here to observe and maybe give feedback about, because like you actually dropping young people into a meeting that is structured like it is not the most effective use of anyone's time, and it's no offense, but it's not very engaging.
Yeah.
And so I think that there's probably other creative ways to get youth voice
Okay.
in here. So, and there's no offense meant.
No, none taken.
But I do want to share one project, and I think, do you work here at the library? So I've been wanting to talk with someone here. So I do want to just share briefly that, so this summer, and this is what I wanted you to hear, so we'll talk about it after that. There is a side project that Teen Empowerment's going to be working on. Shantara Randall, who is a former youth organizer and staff, she was with Teen Empowerment for 10 years, now teaches in the district. And another former youth organizer, Yusuf, are going to lead a Summer of Opportunities group. And they are going to be Clarissa Street Reunion Youth Ambassadors. And they're really going to be doing like an oral history project, and also bringing alive a youth stage at the Clarissa Street Reunion. It's going to be a big project. And so just FYI that will be happening. We're just kind of devising it now, and we are looking.
It's called the League Youth Ambassadors Team on Clarissa Street.
It's the Clarissa Street Reunion.
For the Clarissa Street.
Yeah, we're working with the planning committee, and I know that they're looking. I know they may have been talking with you about the photo exhibit. Is that something familiar?
We haven't met yet, but yeah, we're supposed to.
Yeah, right. So there's a few different elements, and one thing that I do want to talk about is space, meeting space. So that's what I would love to talk offline.
the Clarissa Street reunion, which part of that's Cornhill? They're in Cornhill, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever been?
To
The reunion?
no.
You know where the flying squirrel is?
Yes, I know. I've been there.
It's like a festival in the community that's, it's really, I'll just give a quick synopsis of, it's very, very significant as, it was a mixed neighborhood, but especially an African-American neighborhood that was very economically successful. And then, and jazz, like that whole cultural piece was
Yeah.
part of it, and urban renewal, which we like to rather call removal.
Yeah.
Basically ejected that, like really splintered that community and sent everyone away. And so they have had a reunion for years. I can't remember, 20 some odd years, I think. But it's literally a festival now for the community. But that's part of what we want to bring back is people's knowledge of what is significant about that area, the lessons for today, and really to bring youth life and intergenerational energy to it. So
That's great. Okay. Library?
So this Saturday, we have the Black Women's Book Festival from 10 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. We're very excited about this. There's going to be 17 local and regional women authors here. Please come and see them. It should be a really good time. And on Monday, April 1st, we're going to have a Conversations on Cultural Humility with the M.K. Gandhi Institute here, for M.K. Gandhi Institute for Nonviolence at the library.
Sorry, when is this?
That one is April 1st. We had a conversation on race and poverty last week. We had a nice turnout. It was about 12 people. So we're hoping to get a nice turnout for this subject matter as well. And that's it.
When's your next conversation on race meeting?
April 1st.
April
Oh,
1st.
Well, this is the second part. It was
Second part of the one you had last
Yeah.
time, okay.
What time is that?
That will be at 5 p.m.
Okay.
You'll probably have flyers on this.
Yes, I
Oh, me.
You.
Okay, so Rotary is going through a strategic planning. So actually now would be a good time to just maybe pop in if you could. One of the things we'll have on Monday night from 5:30 to 7 at the Staybridge is a social hour. So, and they have like really great food and drinks. And it's a time to like just talk and get to know a little bit more in a setting that's not so meeting-like. But on April 27th, we're going to go to a strategic planning session to have a better sense of what is our focus, what is our direction. We're a pretty new club, but there's some compassionate members on there. So, or passionate and compassionate. So now is a really good time for people to come in and say, we should be doing this.
So wait, then there's a social hour when, and this is the strategic.
The social hour, the strategic planning activity is going to be April 27th. The social hour is Monday. It's coming Monday, the 25th, from 5:30 to 7 at the Staybridge in the lobby.
Yeah, it's not just for Rotary, it's for people who are staying overnight there.
Yeah, we just barge in and
Yeah, it's okay, Brian's will take
Eat
them.
their food. Food's really good. Drink their booze, you know.
thank you.
What?
John, you made it.
We were just about done.
Hey. What's new with tiny homes?
The foundation about Southwest economic development is the idea of having tiny homes as influence in the area. And the broader issue, tiny homes is a chance to address anti-poverty in terms of let it be a chance for work skills development, especially for our younger persons learning the building trades. We have in our neighborhood here so many areas that could be either for an infill home, or possibly for a tiny home village. So what's occurring now is a group called REACH has received funds for the making of a tiny home prototype. And when they applied for this funding process, they were working on land in the St. Paul Street area. So the grant was received. They are going to proceed ahead with the St. Paul Street area there to basically work towards the development of a village there. It's meant to be not a concentration of poverty. It's meant to be a place for diverse backgrounds. For example, like across the street is a school. Let's get a first-year teacher living there, be in the neighborhood. It'd be a chance for people who are aging out of their homes. They could sell their home and still have equity to buy a tiny home and still maintain equity. Over a 7-year period, you'll be able to rent to own the property. You own the home, but not the land beneath it. That's the land trust concept. So what's happening now is the group REACH is like the spearhead for moving the tiny home effort forward. But that would be like, compared to like a 3-stage rocket. I think of the moon launch 50 years ago. Your first stage is basically getting a tiny home built there. Second stage is to make a tiny home village. The third stage is to manufacture the tiny homes. And that's where the Southwest Quadrant comes in. We have in our area the Bull's Head Brownfield Opportunity Area that could be redeveloped. Let's give it a purpose. Let's say we'd like to have the manufacture of tiny homes take place in the area where people who need these skills to be acquired and taught. Let's build them here. Let's get them installed here. But let's do it in a fashion that they can be mass produced. So at this stage now, there's a connection with a local manufacturer that makes manufactured homes. And the idea would be for them to scale down to a tiny home type concept and then work and share their ideas with both REACH and with our Southwest group here. So presently, the prototype is the focus. Being submitted this very weekend is the outline to carry out the making of the prototype land there. And then during the summertime, the further reclamation of the land there at St. Paul Street with the concept then for economic development Southwest is let's build upon the tiny home concept and to be able to have them manufactured here, that's way down the road. But let's start that process. Let's make it happen here. The other phase that I wanted to discuss tonight is the property of land at Ames Street, the former Taylor Instrument site. On the Bull's Head Brownfield, that is the westernmost parcel, so that starting from the Ames Street, the former Taylor Instrument site there, that location is where they made thermometers. So the leakage of mercury into the soil there has made it a highly toxic area there that has to have massive intervention to have it done properly. But the other idea is don't try to extract the bad soil, leave it where it is. If you look at the area now, it's basically a massive concrete parking lot with nothing on it there. So the idea is keep it as it is, cap it maybe with like a rubber membrane, and then you got a new area to build upon. What I'm suggesting have happen is if we're using the tiny home as being a building block concept for economic development in South of Rochester, any tiny home area has to have landscaping. It needs soil. One of the things that can be developed at the Taylor Instrument site there, make it a massive site for mulching, topsoil, etc. The idea is to take that site that is a toxic landfill eyesore, make lemonade out of a lemon. And I say lemonade is AID. Put something there that's going to be a help in terms of, for example, topsoil creation there. It could also be a location for hydroponics, aquaponics. If you think of simple structures on a concrete slab there, basically a dome type of structure. Inside the structure, you have a greenhouse, you have a vermiculture process where you can manufacture topsoil. You could also have not just recycling. The idea is that the Ames Street site could be an ancillary or a helping place for the DES operations on Emerson Street and Mountain Boulevard and Dewey Avenue. Let those places on Mountain Boulevard be for mechanical purposes and purposes at the boundary that are for things like topsoil or where they would currently have like your rock salt be stored there. Have your inert things on St. Paul at Ames Street. So if you think of that land there at Ames Street, basically a blank spot now, let's use it as being an ecological and environmental educational training center where people could also learn skills. So for example, the hydroponics there, learn to grow foods there. So what I'm in early discussion with RIT, with a professor named Sarah Brunel, to undertake looking at that Ames Street property as being a project for their students, a year-long project, stating basically, let's make this an ecological theme park in the best sense. Ecology is a theme, there's a chance to learn about things. For example, it's right next door to RG&E. We could have an entire array of solar panels right next to the RG&E property there. You have the space there then for buildings to do the recycling, etc. there. So over the next year's time, with the conversation starting this summer, would be a 2-semester project with RIT students to figure out what could go there at Ames Street. So that's the basic concept for this evening, is that taking the tiny home concept, looking at the next stage. The next stage is, if you're going to get into mass production, then you got to have topsoil. Where are you going to develop that and save money and do it productively? I think Ames Street is a good place. So I'd like to get feedback from people about the thought that Ames Street could be an ecology center, not affecting any removal of dirt there, but just basically capping it and taking it from there.
Mhm. Now, if you put a membrane over what's there now, you're pretty much going to have to put another coat of cement or hardtop
Crushed stone.
to make sure that if anybody's ever digging, they don't break that membrane.
The thought is that you have your concrete is there now, put a membrane on top, the same kind you have, for example, with the Highland Park Reservoir. They want to be able to have that be more sanitary, so to speak. But then on top of it, as you mentioned there, you'd be fearful of a skid or a cutter into that area there. So I think of like the crushed stone that you'd have on a bicycle path or something. So
Okay.
really welcome further ideas there, but I'd like to just pitch the idea that look at it as being an environmental park there, but also a chance to learn skills.
Sounds a lot cheaper than trying to remediate
Pardon?
it. Sounds a lot cheaper than trying to remediate it.
As I recall, the front 60 feet or 100 feet or so along West Avenue there, that isn't contaminated because that used to be the parking lot for the factories there. I remember there was some talk about what are we going to do there, and the thought was we at least could do a border of houses along West Avenue, and then behind that, whatever.
I recall being at a Southwest Common Council meeting, they were talking about having a junk yard there.
Yeah.
Parts recycling. So this would be more of a quiet type of environment, but it also could be a place to have demonstration stations of using wind power, and being able to use rainwater reclamation for the greenhouses and stuff like that. A place to have a school bus go to, spend an afternoon there, make it a learning session.
For all the stuff that they'd be growing there, is there clean water that could be used?
This is where the concept of the gray water being when you have rain, the water that can be collected could be perhaps funneled to an aquaponics area there. Or you could, we have at Rapid Cemetery that we're able to use non-potable, non-drinkable water coming from the fire hydrant, tap off of that. So it would not need to be a drinkable water there, but a water for agricultural purposes. But there would need to be constant monitoring of the environment in terms of is there any kind of a mercury vapor or something that's coming up.
What's the first tiny house you were going to make? There was talk of doing it over where Eleanor is there. Is that still in the works?
Asking whether or not the youth build persons can do that.
Oh, okay, so we've been talking about that, and our schedule of having youth is we have another cohort starting probably July, like the end of June, and it'll go all the way into the end of August, maybe the very beginning of September, but then there's going to be a time in there that we don't actually have students because we go through an evaluation phase. So I'm not sure how hardwired youth build can be as far as we will build the houses. But without question, Catholic Family Center does want to be wants youth build to be part of this initiative. So what I'm hoping is that the instructor, one of the mentors who's also an instructor, will become more active in the tiny home meeting because he has more of a reality check as to what they would be able to do. But probably not build the prototype there on the youth build site. They would be helping with wherever the prototype goes.
What the intent remains is that when tiny homes are developed, the goal is to have a youthful workforce involved.
Yeah.
Now, your group, Youth Build, is that something, how many people do you get into that program?
So right now our class is about 13. Yeah, we lost a couple.
And what is this the most you can handle, or is this what you've been able to recruit?
We can handle a few more. Yeah, we can handle like 20, 25.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got to remember we're getting kids who are, they've just not been successful in the school system, and so they're coming with a lot of service needs, losing their housing while they're with us, just all kinds of mental health issues. I'm really pleased actually that they're copping to mental health issues. It's really cool that they're saying I'm struggling with this, but because we're so active in so many venues like Teen Empowerment, like Youth Services Quality Council, because we're at those things, we find services very easily, and we kind of can, one kid is having a kid, and we now are hooking him up with a service that I learned about last Friday from Youth Services Quality Council about people that come into the home and work with the family until the kid's 5 years old. So it's just, there's really a whole lot more to working with the population that we're working with than just, hey, learn some carpentry skills. There's a lot of issues, drugs. I mean, things that, the cool part is we address them. Like if someone comes in smelling like pot, or they went out for lunch and they all smell, we address that and we talk about it, and we talk about how this relates to employment, how this relates to jobs with drug tests.
While they're high?
Huh?
You talked about it while they're high.
No. The next day.
I was like, that just doesn't sound
No, we sent them all home
Yep.
because that's the consequence. We told you that ahead of time. And no drug use on site, and so it's a good learning setting, and we stay with them. Like Rashid, who was here at the last meeting, was from the first cohort. He lost his job, and we stay with them. So like now he's working as a residence aide for Catholic Family Center because we brought him back in, and he relates so much better to the kids. When I have to go back and say where you work and how much, all that stuff, and they're like, why you want to know? And with Rashid, it's more, hey man, what are you doing? It's like, it's just a whole different ballpark, and he loves doing it. So we made him the alumni coordinator, and he's phenomenal. He's just really, really good at it, takes it seriously, and coming to the Rotary meetings. It's not a population where you can say, I've got 10 people I can assign to this project. It's just not like that. There's a lot. That's why there's 2 mentors in the classroom all the time to help work with these issues. because we want to move them from where they're at to another place. We have a lot that we still are working to get them to get their high school equivalencies, you know. But we don't leave them. I call myself the stalker, and I find them.
Okay, is there, I assume you've been talking with Teen Empowerment, so if they've got any, uncle or big brother or somebody that your kids are involved with, your youth is involved with, that they can refer them to possibly getting into the youth build program?
Yeah, they're aware.
Good.
All right.
All right.
And then, yeah, just that the Rotary, like I said, is planning stuff now. And now's the time we'd love to have input, because the Rotary is, like, I didn't know this when I came. I came in because there were some people that I knew that were part of it, and they were really cool. So I came into it. Yeah. Chris McDonald, Shamika Fusco. I mean, there were like really, Donna Sarnacki. There were people involved in it that I said, well, this is a friendly group. And that's usually why people join, is because service gets done. We're doing something in the community, and because you like the people that are there. So the things that I just went to the president-elect meeting, Rotary meeting, and the things that you learn is that they've got like a 4-star rating with Charities Corps. And they're the ones that, for 11 years, so they're the ones that decide whether, like, you're being accredited, that you're doing a credible job. And they've taken polio from like 350,000 cases a year down to 100. And looking to eradicate it. They're the ones that got the Gates Foundation in to match anything they raised. So they really do good stuff, but we want, when I thought of Rotary, I thought, oh, white guys, we don't look like that, and we're looking to maintain diversity, but what we do have to do is figure out how to reach youth to take this over from us. Like, we're gonna die. and it's a strong organization that provides.
She's not.
But it's a strong organization that provides training, opportunities to go overseas. I mean, there's a lot that, and putting Rotarian on your resume looks good, so we're hoping that we can get some youth interested. Thank you. The end.
Thank you. The only other thing that I can think of is we did at the last meeting, we went over, the group wanted to vote on the question of arming the officers at the U of R there, and so we had enough people there for a quorum, and did a show of hands, and it was pretty much unanimous. It was unanimous that people were in favor of not having the officers on this side of the river be armed. There's a lot of fear of racial profiling, and that was the main driving thing behind that. Both in the 19th Ward, which went that way of moving to not have the officers armed on this side, and the group that was here on the day that Fisher made the presentation, we had most of them. Well, we had, I think, probably about half to 2/3 of the people who were at our meeting last month had been at that presentation, and they asked to vote, so we went along with it, and it was in favor of not arming the officers. So I put a letter together that basically thanks Mark Fisher for the presentation and says we didn't discuss the proposal after the meeting in January, but in February meeting, after a discussion, the group requested that we vote on the issue of arming U of R peace officers. The vote was unanimous against arming U of R peace officers on the west side of the river. So we'll send that to them.
Oh, I'm sorry, it hasn't been finalized. U of R has not made that final decision.
I don't think they
Okay.
have made it
I
yet.
thought you actually got them to.
No.
Okay.
I know that the 19th Ward Community Association, voted in that way, and I assume they sent a letter in to them, and we are doing the same thing. Okay. Is there anything else that I'm forgetting, Eleanor?
No. Oh, rat.
Hey, we only ran over 5 minutes.
Okay, goodbye, everybody.
Thank you.
It was good